Hi, welcome to Moments of Mindfulness. I'm your host, Emme, and today we have a fantastic show planned for you. We have one of the most illustrious guests that you can imagine, Tasha Dixon from Spirit Knows Best. But before that, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what today's show is going to be about, so you'll know why you need to make sure you stay tuned throughout this whole broadcast. So today we're going to be talking about spiritual independence and why it's important to have independent spiritual practice on your own, outside of any temple, outside of any of your traditional religious programming. Right now, you still need to have a very personal spiritual experience, because those are the ones that count the most when it concerns changing your life and adjusting your routine so that it works for you. Those of you who have seen the show before, you know we speak a lot about meditation, and we speak a lot about getting out in nature and self-healing and just adjusting your life. But one of the things that's really important is that you need to know that you don't need necessarily a leader or a guru or anything like that to have effective spiritual practice. The truth is that on your own time and in your own way, you can develop a practice that will revolutionize your life. And we're going to talk more about that when we introduce our guests right after these messages from our sponsors.
Find your center with Magical Mystic in West Monroe. Try a holistic approach to distressing with various products like healing crystals, essential oils, and homemade all-natural body butter, including the world-renowned Feet by Emme, known to improve skin texture and circulation. Or schedule a centering session with Emme to help you focus on the positive energy in your life. Take the time for you at Magical Mystic in West Monroe.
Gentlemen, empower yourself with my new fragrance line. An intriguing scent, Empire for Men, is excitement, danger, and daring in a bottle. Empowerment awaits at magicalmystic.com. Welcome back to Moments of Mindfulness. I'm your host, Emme, and today I am extremely excited to have with me Tasha Dixon of Spirit Knows Best. You guys may know her as the Oracle and as one who does a lot of teaching on spiritual independence. So without further ado, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hello. How are you? I am Tasha Dixon. As you mentioned, I do run Spirit Knows Best. Just a little bit about Spirit Knows Best is what I do is I create energy sprays to call in or create the atmosphere of a situation. I typically designed it for ritual and for meditation.
Yes. Oh gosh, the Tranquility Spray sells. I sell a lot of it here in the store. People love it, and especially people who have problems getting to sleep. What was your thoughts when you first made the Tranquility?
For my son. Just kind of a better sleeping, and stuff like that. So it does help him with sleeping. Also, my husband, I'm telling on him right now, but he takes like relaxing baths. So he uses Tranquility for his baths and his meditation time. Yes.
Wow, that is really awesome. So for a lot of you who may be on social media, you probably have seen Tasha, which is her Facebook name, around in the circuit talking about a lot of the things that we've been talking about here on the show. And so even as it relates to Spirit Knows Best, I hear you have a new coaching program that you've rolled out.
I do. This coaching program is an 8-week program, and it's called Freedom is You, which basically speaks to the topic that we're discussing today. Freedom is You is an 8-week program designed to help you create a foundation for your spirituality.
I love that. When I look at some of the people that come into the shop or into the store, a lot of them are a little bit lost, and they're trying to figure out how do I bring spirituality into my life in a really real way. So how does that address like the fears that's associated with being on your own?
Well, what I like to get people to understand is that I remind people that you are connected. You don't have to be a pastor. You don't have to be a priest. You were born connected to the divine yourself,
Yes.
So you don't necessarily need an established leadership to connect with the divine. And just be comfortable with that and know that you are absolutely enough.
I love that. Loves, listen, we have way more coming for you in this show. So be sure to tune back in with us in just a few moments after a couple of words from our sponsors. Ladies, empower yourself with my new fragrance line. Emporium invites richness, royalty, and carefree living, and Empire invites intrigue and danger. Empowerment awaits at magicalmystic.com.
Try a holistic approach to distressing with Magical Mystic, healing crystals, essential oils, and homemade all-natural body butter, including the world-renowned Feet by Emme. Take the time for you at Magical Mystic in West Monroe.
Hi, welcome back to Moments of Mindfulness. I'm your host, Emme, and I'm sitting here with Tasha Dixon of Spirit Knows Best. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about practicing spiritual independence, and we've been discussing how important it is for you to have a practice that matters in your life, right? So Tasha, tell us a little bit about, I know you were speaking earlier about the coaching, and what are some of the things you tell people to do when they are first getting into spiritual independence?
Okay, so again, the main thing that I like for people to understand is they are connected. That way, they understand that divine messages can come through them, that they don't always need a third party to deliver messages. I also like to advise meditation. Meditation is a great way to get connected to yourself. Maybe simply, if you're first starting off, you don't have a lot of tools, because I know a lot of spiritual and magical people do have a lot of tools.
True that.
But if you're starting off and you don't have a lot of tools, then it can be as simple as lighting a candle and maybe putting on some music that kind of gets you, again, I'm about creating the atmosphere, that gets you in an atmosphere to just receive peacefully, okay? So you light a candle, maybe turn on some music, and just let the thoughts flow. When it comes to meditation, a lot of times people want to push those thoughts out, but really it's best to just let the thoughts just flow out, and eventually thoughts and visions will flow in, okay? So I would say definitely get connected to yourself, and to yourself as a divine being. We're much more than just this physical makeup here, you know, on earth in this dimension. And so it's very important to get connected to yourself, so that you, as a divine being, so that you can understand what it's like to truly trust. You know, when you think about being inside of organized religion, when it comes to divine messages, a lot of our trust is put in things external.
Other people,
and that's fine, but that's still limiting. And that's still, I like to say that belief is pretty much third party, where knowing, okay, is firsthand, you know. And so again, you know, it's okay to receive that external divine guidance, but at the same time, do understand that we're just as connected. And our divine guidance can come through us. You know, I like to say that we are a walking book of knowledge.
I love that.
We just have to take ourselves off the shelf, dust ourselves off, and dive right in, you know? So yes, getting connected with yourself is a big deal, so that you understand that you can trust your own divine connection.
I love that. You know, it's funny when you were saying that we are walking books of knowledge. When it concerns all of the books that we read in any library, any book that's ever been written, there is a limitation to it, because it's always written from the author's perspective, and I'm an author, so I understand that even when I'm trying to approach a subject very non-biased, I can't help but be who I am, and whatever experience I've had, it's actually filtered through my understanding and my perspective of that experience, which is just one, or even if it's two or three, it's still just a few perspectives of a situation. Whereas when you're looking inside of yourself, there's this freedom for principles to shift as they need to, and information to be re-principled or reapplied as the situation calls for.
Absolutely. And when we think about things such as the Bible and other religious texts, you know, just having experience with different faiths, even under the Christian umbrella, you're still going to find people that interpret things their way.
That's
you know,
true.
It's not always a blanket, you know, meaning, you know, for everyone. And so to me, I say go in with your own eyes, you know, connect to the divine, go in with your own eyes and see what you get. you know?
Right.
And ultimately, that is what matters, because as long as you're only accepting what comes externally, you're not feeling like you're living your most authentic life.
That is so
you
true.
know? And it's
Yeah.
so many people, like, even for such as ourselves, where we're kind of like approaching the midlife, you know, and learning from our youth and everything what wasn't for us, you know, and it's
Right.
only now, you know, but now I'm raising a son who will know that it's okay. You are your first priority when it comes to connecting, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, another thing that I also, and this, you know, people don't hear this a lot from a mainstream standpoint, but I also advise getting connected with your ancestors, finding out about your people and where you're from before organized religion, you know.
Right.
Just find out exactly what is in your bloodline, you know, what energy runs through your veins, you know.
Right.
And that's very important. That's another way of getting connected to you, you know.
Right.
That's not, you know, a lot of us, depending on our culture, I know for us being African American, we were disconnected, you know, from our ancestors. So the opportunity to reconnect to them, you know, is amazing, you
It
know.
is. It
But
really
every
is.
culture around the world, pre-organized religion, had a connection to the ancestors. They honored their ancestors. You know, if we
Right.
go, you know, we can go into the Chinese restaurant, okay, and you'll
Oh,
see where
wow,
they have an
yes.
altar,
They
you know, to Buddha.
do.
Every culture venerated their ancestors before something else came in and kind of, you know, made
Pushed
the
it
rules for
aside.
them. So I
Yeah.
always advise, go back and visit that. And that's not always going to be something that you have to get from an external website, you know, but you can, you know.
Right.
I did a lot of searching my ancestors on sites that were made for that, you know. But that's also going to come with meditation as well. I
Right.
received various divine messages about my lineage just through meditation. I know a lot of times people think that meditation is really about, oh, well, let's just relax, put on some soft music, and I'm just going to end my day in peace.
Right.
It's
like,
really
no, it's
not,
more
you
than
know,
that.
about that. It's so much more. It's really about receiving divine messages, you know.
Right.
And once you put yourself in a place of receiving, then more and more messages will come and they will be clear. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then you look forward to actually making that connection and learning how much you can actually find out about the divine that is unwritten and unspoken.
I love that you said that, because what I do and what you do, there's always these questions and they want to be pointed to a book or to a website or to a video. And it's like there are some things about you can only find out within yourself. The other thing I love about what you said about the ancestors is I've done a lot of extensive study on German, I don't know why, but German history calls to me. And so there was a time when, because for us as African Americans, it's easy to see what a disconnect was. For some that were disconnected way before, it's almost impossible for them to remember what was before without a whole lot of study.
Right.
And so when you go back to a lot of the ancient civilizations, from the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incans, when you go back to ancient Germanic civilization, the Norse and the Celtic and all of that, there was this veneration of where you come from. Where you come from, your lineage was everything. And for that matter, when you look in the Bible, when you deal with the first 5 books of Moses, the ancestry was a big
Yes.
deal, because
Yes.
if you didn't come from the right ancestry, you were automatically denied access to certain things.
Right, right.
So it's definitely proven, even by the Bible, if you are in traditional religion.
Right. And there's that whole book, and you may remember what book of the Bible is, where it talks about who begat whom.
Yes.
And it goes on and on and on. So a lot of times from a religious standpoint, you know, some people understand it to be forbidden, you know, to connect with your ancestors who have transitioned. But there are so many places in the Bible where it's actually ancestry is mentioned. You know, a lot of times when they refer to that God, they say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
They do,
okay?
the
They
ancestry
are
aspect.
honoring a lineage there. You know what I'm saying? So my point when it comes to spiritual freedom is it's perfectly okay for you to go outside of the Bible. It's perfectly okay for you to go outside of the Torah. It's
Right.
okay for you to go outside of the Quran and say, okay, I respect that as a religious text, you know,
Right.
but at the same time, I'm also connected. You can still be in a church. You can still be in a mosque or a temple and say and respect the leadership there. But you do also have to honor your your divine connection. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Absolutely.
And it's not always going to be external. And I know we were talking earlier about when we talk about European ancestry. And a lot of times, especially Americans, they like to relate their ancestors back to only the forefathers. But it's like, no, you go back
God,
much
way
further
further.
than the American forefathers. So when it comes to connecting with your ancestors, I say go back further than when your people were actually converted. You know, and everybody has a history of ancestral veneration and honoring deities, pagan deities, you know,
Right.
because Christianity actually just kind of adopted some of the holidays. You know, go
Yes,
search
they
that,
did.
find out what the origin was and what that was all about. And it's perfectly okay to do that guilt-free. You know,
Exactly.
there's a lot of
Absolutely.
guilt that's tied, and this is where I come in. There's a lot of guilt that's tied to people seeking something outside of how they were raised because they're concerned about parents. They're concerned about friends. And when I say parents, I'm talking about people my age. They're
Right.
concerned about their parents
They
still
are,
and how they
yeah.
were raised and stuff like that. And they don't want to seem like the quote unquote weird one. But you know what? Be the weird one for a while. Be the weird one and go out and seek and find. Because so many people are missing things, but they're afraid to say that they're missing
Right.
it, and they're
Right.
trying to fill that void in ways that a lot of times are unhealthy.
Right.
You know.
That's absolutely true. When I was a preacher right around here in this area for 18 years, and I preached all over the place. And one of the things that I found, you know, is that there is this dogma connected to organized religion that actually keeps you glued to it out of fear of leaving it and what may happen. But the other side of that is that a lot of people who are actually having problems with leaving and finding their freedom is this, I don't want to be wrong, but if you look at all the places you're already wrong, why would you not be wrong in the area of improving yourself and knowledge? It was a hard departure from organized religion.
Yeah, and people don't like to admit it, but the underlying energy there is fear.
It
It
is.
is a fear.
It is.
And when it comes to that, and that's any organized religion, not specifically tying it to just one, there is no healthy relationship that's built off of fear, not at all.
Not at
and
all.
so
Wow.
one day, maybe about 12 years ago, maybe 12, 13 years ago, I was standing in my kitchen doing absolutely nothing. I was just in the process of going from one place to another. And something told me to just stand there, and I stood there. And I heard a voice in my head, and it said, "Why do you believe what you believe?" I knew immediately what it was asking. And you know what my first words were? "I don't want to go to hell."
That's always it, isn't it?
It was. And the thing about it is I answered that so quick and honest because that voice came out of nowhere. Now, if that had happened in the middle of a religious conversation with someone, I would have already been prepared and programmed to try to talk my way into out of saying that as a first thing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But that voice came so quick that I had no choice but to be absolutely honest without preparation.
Absolutely.
So, in no relationship that's built off of fear is healthy.
It's not. I love that we had this conversation. And guys, for those of you who are actually just tuning in, listen, this is one of those episodes that challenges you to think. But don't go anywhere because we're coming right back after a quick break, and we're going to have more meat and more potatoes for your spiritual freedom. Ladies, empower yourself with my new fragrance line. Emporium invites richness, royalty, and carefree living, and Empire invites intrigue and danger. Empowerment awaits at magicalmystic.com. Welcome back to Moments of Mindfulness. I'm your host, Emme, and I have with me again Tasha Dixon. If you're just tuning in, she is the owner of Spirit Knows Best. She does a lot as it relates to helping people establish independent spiritual practice. And so we're about to discuss some tips for independent practice, but I do want to reiterate some things that she's already brought to the forefront. One of those things being realizing where you come from before your now, your ancestry, all the way back to before the time it was converted to any or whatever organized system that it may now be a part of. And the other thing is realizing that you are a divine connected being. So it's just been real meat and potatoes. This is steak, you know, this is like filet mignon, right? It's like that kind of thing. So Tasha, what can you help us with? What tips can you give for people who really want to bring this into their life right now?
Okay, so again, meditation is going to be key, all right? Connecting with yourself. And the meditation is going to be an effort to get connected with you as a soul, with you as a spirit, you know?
Yes,
and understanding that your spirit is connected to the source of all things, all right? Learning to trust your connection, learning to trust your messages without doubt, you know? You know, a lot of times people don't naturally think about this, but as you're getting to know yourself, which is where the ancestors also come in too, is getting to know you and getting to know certain energies that may run in your bloodline, okay?
Right.
In everybody's bloodline, we have things that needs to be healed, but we also have power in our bloodlines too. So you
Right.
want to begin to connect with your ancestors to find out where your strength lies and to find out where some of those challenges are. Some of those challenges, you are able to, like, for example, when we were in Christianity, we heard the terms generational curses all the
Definitely.
time, okay? But I like for people to understand that they actually have the power, you know, to end those generational curses.
That's
that they have the
true.
power to heal some of the toxic energy or the non-beneficial energy that runs in their bloodline. You know,
Right.
for some people, you know, when we think of traits and genetics, we think of, oh, you'll hear someone say, oh, you look so much like your mama. You
That's
look so
true.
much like your dad. Your dad looks like somebody spit you out, okay? But
Right,
it's much
right.
more than physical. There's an energy that is also apparent in our bloodlines as well. And they're not always, you know, they're not always great traits, you know.
That's true.
Some people may have alcoholism, you know, that runs in their bloodlines. As I've been on this path, I've learned that certain people may have an energy of abuse, you know, that
That's
runs,
true.
you know. And those are the types of things that you want to begin to work to heal within your bloodline. So people may say, how do I heal my bloodline? You know,
Right,
that
that's a good
sounds
one.
like a daunting task, okay? And it
Right.
really does sound like something that someone who's well versed, you know, in healing and all of that, but you literally can't do that. Another key to connecting is visualization, okay?
I love that.
I teach my mentees that they can actually heal their ancestors. Visualization plays a huge role in that. And when I initially got started on healing, I thought to myself, okay, just visualizing. But really, it's because, you know, people don't really know how divine they are. So not knowing how divine you are, you don't know your power.
That's true.
All right.
That's
And so
true.
we absolutely do have the power to heal certain energies in our bloodlines. And what it does is it frees us from the potential, or it makes the potential minimized, you know.
I like that.
A lot of things that I can clear up and heal in my bloodline will now help my son and help my future, you know, generation.
Right.
And where it may be and from when it comes to free will, my son has the choice to do what he wants, you know, when he's older. But guess what? He'll be stronger in fighting the potential to do a thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so again, you want to say, how can you heal your bloodline? Visualization. For me personally, I do a lot of candle work. Okay.
Yes, I love it.
A lot of healing oils. A specific oil that does stand out for me is eucalyptus, rosemary. Rosemary has been
rosemary.
key, you know.
Yes.
And a lot of that, you say, okay, so it's just oil, you know, it's just a candle. But the same way a priest or a pastor can bless some olive oil or bless some water, so can you. But you
Right.
only know that you can do that if you trust your personal connection. And
Right.
that is why it's so important to understand how you are connected personally. Because if you never understand that you're connected personally, you think power lies in everywhere else except for yourself.
Wow.
You know, and so start with visualization. I do a little bit of candle work, it's literally as simple as closing your eyes and sending healing. You know, love is key. Okay,
Yeah, that's
so rosemary for purification, rosebuds for love, because overall, love is a healing energy, and it's what's needed to fill voids. It's what's needed to help purify, because when you're cleansing and purifying, you don't want to leave a void.
That's
So it
true.
always makes sense to me to bring in the energy of love to replace those things, you know. And I have been working to heal my ancestors maybe for the past year actively, and I have seen results. And people will see that it will change and alter the direction of their lives and make it easier on themselves and the generations to come.
Wow, that is powerful. I love what you said about visualization. And one of the points that you guys need to know is that from a perspective, all is mind. And so if all is mind, your thoughts are everything, and they are the things that manifest. So just by thinking certain thoughts and sending those thoughts out, you bring it as a reality into your life. Tasha, can you tell us how everyone can get in touch with you online and Spirit Knows Best?
Okay, yes, they can, of course, they can go to spiritknowsbest.com. I am also on Facebook, Spirit Knows Best, but if you want to reach out to me personally on Facebook, I'm also just Tasha, you know. So you can reach me either of those ways. There's an email contact on the Spirit Knows Best website. And again, anyone can message me on Facebook via Spirit Knows Best or my other moniker, Tasha.
I love it. Thank you so much for being with us. It really
You're
was
very
a
welcome.
pleasure. Guys, we will be right back for more of Moments of Mindfulness after this brief break. Is your life moving too fast? Are you always stressed and angry? Come see me, let me help. I have helped thousands of people take their life back with the power of positive thinking. Pushing out the negative energy and focusing on the positive energy that's all around you can help you de-stress and will have an uplifting influence on your health and well-being. Say goodbye to stress and regain control of your life. Schedule a centering session with me at the Magical Mystic Store in West Monroe. Welcome back to Moments of Mindfulness. I'm your host, Emme, and today's show has been phenomenal. For those of you who have stuck with us through the whole show, I know that you're feeling inspired and I know that you feel empowered. So today's show was about spiritual freedom and what it means to have independent spirituality and how you can bring spirituality into your life in a more personal way. What you do in your own spare time, you know, that's really on you. This is not to pressure you or to force you. However, many people who come to me, they come to me because they're dissatisfied with various aspects of their life. And when that's the case, oftentimes I point them back to themselves to find out what part is missing. You would be amazed to know how many people are missing just self-care. You know, knowing who they are, what they want, and not being afraid to ask for it of themselves rather than other people. So we had Tasha Dixon, and don't forget to look her up, Spirit Knows Best online, or Tasha. And we're going to talk about more spiritual independence throughout the course of this season, as well as dealing with depression and re-establishing your own happiness in your life. And don't we all want to do that? So you definitely want to catch the next episode. I'm Emme. I'm the owner of Magical Mystic. We are right here local at 1207 Cypress Street in West Monroe, and we're open Tuesday through Saturday every day until 6 p.m. So feel free to come in and share a little time with us. If you need to call us, it's 318-855-5414, or catch us online for all of our products and services, www.magicalmystic.com. Thank you again for joining us. You have a fantastic, blessed, blissful day.